We are in week 10. This is day 18. Monday, all we talked about is IP address. We reviewed a couple things like broadcast, unicast. We talked about IP4 for about half the class. And we start out with this concept of a router, and then we have two networks off that router, just an example, and then we have some WAN connection. Here we actually have 1, 2, 3 networks connected to the router, and so the router will route based on the routing table to the correct network. If it doesn't have any network to route to, and if it doesn't have a default gateway, it will drop the packets. Alright, we talked about broadcast, so a good example was an ARP, the relationship between an IP and a MAC address, a logical address and a physical address. We moved from later in the class to IP6, 128 bits, typically network. Here they call it the interface or the link. Divisions to get our 128, and here we talk about the network and the subnet when we talked a little bit about global unicast addresses. And reviewed the local link too and why that exists. We talked a little bit about the addressing when you have double colons. There's zeros in there. You don't know how many, but you could calculate it when you look at the whole address. And we also talked about a leading zero. Something, we might have a situation like that. Okay. We looked at example here on campus. We talked about a switch that we're connected to, and then a multi-layered switch, and inside that multi-layered switch is that default gateway. It's a router and switch both together, and then we talked about the difference here connected on campus and connecting to an access point. And we looked at an example of an address here, which is on a different network than the addresses up here. And then we also talked about VLAN 20, and that's on another network that's separate. Because 16 bits, this much of the network, 16 bits, this much of the network. We should have recorded the mask here, but they vary a little bit on which access point on campus that you connect to, where you get your IP address. But that is a separate network then from these, and on campus. The campus is divided up into separate networks. Okay? We already talked about those. We looked at those. We talked about the private addresses. We list those here. Talked about that. And we looked at the fact that NIACC has this address, /24, which means it can do whatever they want with these 8 bits. We're going to talk a lot about that on Friday when we talk about subnetting and so on. Now we finished up, here we show where we got that information from Aaron about this set of addresses. And then, what's interesting, if you would have gone out to the internet using, a little hard to see, the Wi-Fi, let me go over that again, Wi-Fi, then you would have found that that's a different set of addresses that NIACC has available to them. I'm not sure how many. I think 3 Class C addresses or something like that here at NIACC. Alright, we'll get in depth into the subnetting and so forth on Friday, and we'll look at another configuration on Friday. In fact, we'll do a little bit of work looking at what we've done with the IP6 configurations on Friday. That is it for today.